they left. She headed up the space program out in NASA. Rental Creighton left. He ends up, well, he retired, but he ended up all the gambling casinos in North America. I mean, all these gifted
from right out of Iowa.
Yeah, all these gifted individuals.
Wow.
Then we had a lot of Tuskegee Airmen come out of there. So,
wow.
a lot of history.
Mm-hmm.
Funny thing about it, when I moved to all my brothers, no black people in Syracuse. He said, some major cities have it.
Where were you living at the time?
Liverpool. Where they stuck all of us in Liverpool. And I just so happened to be coming back from a conference in Boston.
So your folders and stuff are in Huntington.
81 on the Salina.
Mm-hmm.
But I have documents for that.
I knew they had to be something.
Wow. That's so funny. When I was born, my family lived on Tully Street on the west side. That's where. Moved out. My mom still lives in the house. He died 11 years ago.
I didn't get a chance.
Both sides of the family just came out and stayed with me.
One for Brandon and I.
Work, saved your money, got your own place, got your own car. Yes. No, no.
Are these for me? Yeah. Yes. No, they're separate.
Hello.
For $1.40.
Uh-oh. He in trouble?
This woman don't like me.
To the Legion?
Oh, that's right. I gotta buy you dinner, don't I?
I have two.
What are these now? Annette. What are these?
Just take one of each.
Oh, just one of each? Oh, okay.
The one that you got from Police One?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
already
gonna
have
talk,
one.
I was gonna talk about it.
Okay. I need another pink one. I got the one
Oh.
that
I have
says
one for $8 and one for $53.40. And then
340.
Okay. Two of the 5340s. Oh, okay, it's not.
I think it's yours, but I can pass it to this person over here. Oh, you have more than one. Oh, I should have two? Oh.
Now we have 7 PhDs in the family.
How many?
7. Because in Iowa, that's what they do. You go to school.
And have children.
There you go. There you go. You know what? I would not trade my childhood for anything.
I'm allergic to peanuts. That's fine. Yeah, no one wants to stab me today.
I was actually in line at
I was gonna
Disney.
say, I actually did want to kill someone tonight.
I was in line at Disney and people were eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I found that very disconcerting.
It's a
And
very
I'm not-
cheap, easy way to eat. I get it, to save money at the parks, but yeah, I
Line.
agree. Yeah, it's to die for.
He's here, that's what matters.
Yep.
We heard everything, obviously.
Yeah.
Are you out of the doghouse now? No. Oh, okay. Ribs solve a lot of problems.
My thing is I can't eat them anymore. It'll give me acid reflux.
Go for it. I will eat some barbecue chicken.
I don't think I have. All I have is his email. I don't have his phone number.
Twice, so we're gonna just wait a minute. Charlotte and Atlanta, they had a get together last weekend, I think it was.
I was working at the fair at the NAACP booth.
It was a good time. I saw a lot of people who I grew up with.
My brother was saying that it's 108 families moving every single day in the shop. You can see the buildings before.
When I move from here, I do not want to own a home. I want to a senior neighborhood where you get on a scooter or go car. They got a pool, you know,
Yeah.
everything you need, no maintenance.
Me, I'm gonna have a cardboard condo so I can move it whenever I need. If it's too hot one place, I just fold it up and off I go. I mean, it always looks lubricated, but it never rains. Ain't the bridge getting wet.
There's a big difference.
It's a big difference. So that is always raining in Seattle. It's like, you know, it's always misty.
Mm-hmm. Well, Florida, you know, it typically rains hard and then it like nothing happened. But it didn't rain at all. And it only rained for probably 30 minutes on the ship. It was beautiful.
You know, it's like Denver in the winter. You know, snow.
Mm-hmm.
By mid-afternoon, sunny and 80. Denver is so weird.
I think, well, one of our board members said they were coming in the door, so we just figured we would just wait a minute since it was in the door.
Is it a slow moving person?
So just but
Thank you. I call the meeting to order. 5:45. Everyone should have a copy of the minutes from August. Take a motion to accept the minutes.
I second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? I was going to wait for Joe, but I'll just do this because if anyone has any questions, we can ask Joe when he gets here. The resolution that's in your packet was written by Joey, so I'm going to read it out loud. So it's, whereas the Syracuse Citizens Review Board, hereinafter CRB, was reestablished by local law number 1, 2012, approved by the mayor on January 24th, 2012. This local law, having been filed on February 15th, 2012, which is the effective date of this local law pursuant to Section 27, Subdivision 3 of the Municipal Home Rule Law. And whereas quorum of CRB members were present as defined in Section 5, Section 2, whatever, of the CRB's local law 1, 2012, met on September 4th, 2024, and whereas the City of Syracuse Citizens Review Board lacks a committee on rules, and whereas the rules of the City of Syracuse Citizens Review Board have not updated its rules, hearing policies and procedures, bylaws in a substantial period of time, and now therefore be it resolved that the City of Syracuse Citizens Review Board hereby amends Section 4.3 of its rules and bylaws so that the following is added. F, Committee on Rules. Wherefore, the aforesaid resolution of the Citizens Review Board by a vote of blank in favor of the resolution, blank abstention, and blank voting against, herewith adopts the Committees on Rules to its rules and bylaws on this 5th day of September 2024, and in witness thereto and in verification thereof appear the signatures of those CRB members present at the aforesaid meeting. We've been talking about this for a while, and it makes sense to me for it to be in our rules and bylaws. So I would take a motion to add these to our rules.
So moved.
Second? Will anyone second? Can I second? All right, I will. All those in favor?
Do they want discussion first?
Sure.
People who didn't.
Yeah. Any discussion on this?
The specific rules, are they already laid down and where?
The rules are in your binder,
Okay. So
and this will form, it will make it a requirement for the board to have a committee to look at any time that things need to be looked at in the rules, the bylaws, or the ordinance.
Okay,
So this is just making it so that there would be a committee.
committee for it, okay.
It's not changing anything in the rules, it's not changing anything in the ordinance, it's not
Okay.
changing anything in the bylaws.
Okay.
It is
So
just,
these
it
are
it is
already-
actually adding to the bylaws that we have this committee along with our other committees.
Okay, so it's already in the book that I have already, or this is
Your
going to be
rules and
placed?
bylaws, yes,
Okay.
they are,
Okay, just want to make sure.
as is the
In
ordinance.
addition, okay.
If I can just speak to why I think it's important, and when it's come up in hearings, we have, for example, a hearing procedures, like process and procedures document that we go by, that opposing counsel has, the attorneys have representing their parties, and some of us think that they're a little cumbersome in some ways, or need to be updated or changed in some ways. I don't know if we all have ideas definitely about how it should be, but there should be a conversation about it
Correct.
on an ongoing basis about how things could be moved. And once you go to a hearing and you see, oh yeah, this rule could be better or different, you may have your, ideas as well. I think the idea is just to have a mechanism by which we can change them to fit what we're doing now, which looks different than hearings looked 5 years ago or
Okay.
longer ago.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. All those in favor of putting this in the rules to form the committee?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay,
All right, so
Thank
one copy will need to be passed around and everybody
Yep.
will need to sign. I will make note that that the top of this says, met on September 4th, and that will have to be changed to September 5th at the top here, but the bottom is fine, so we can move forward. So this will have to be changed to the, yep, there we go. And then everybody will need to sign.
I appreciate Joey writing that up for us.
yes, that was very nice of him.
Okay, now, you have to, because my name's not on the list, so what do
It
I
is
need?
on the
It is
list.
on the list.
Where?
You don't see your name?
It wouldn't be on that paper, it's not on that paper. None of our names on that paper.
No, he needs to just make a line. I'm sorry, Don. Make a line and then,
Going blind or what?
I wish you would've told me the.
Oh, what is it?
That's right.
Oh, none
I make
yours isn't
mistakes.
either, mine isn't Linda. Yeah, on the back.
Okay, no more board members.
So, make a line and then print your name underneath it.
We can't handle that part.
No, because it has to be all on the same document.
We can't. You got it. Board member expectations. I know that you guys talked about it last month with Letitia. In reviewing it, one of the things that came to my attention was the words "will" be grounds for removal. I don't think that we need to be quite as hard and just say that if someone misses 3 or more meetings within a 12-month period, it may be grounds for dismissal. I mean, there are certain circumstances that people should be excused, and I think we need to add that to our minutes, attendance things for an excused absence. We have people who routinely, if they're not going to be here, will call and say, I'm not going to be here because of A, B, or C. And then we have people who, in the past especially, have not called and have not shown up. And so I think there's a big difference between someone never coming to a meeting and someone being out for a couple of months because they had a baby or, you know, whatever the thing is. So with that being said,
Can I just make something?
sure.
Just to make sure we're clear, the board is able to make recommendations, right? So the board would vote, and then they make recommendations to the council as to whether or not they feel like this person isn't meeting their expectations. So the board in itself cannot remove anybody, but they can make a suggestion to the council based upon these things as to why they should be considered for removal. Let's just want to make sure that that's clear.
Correct. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I have a question in regards to, is it just the CRB meeting that's held here in the council, or is it the hearings, et cetera, as well?
There's 2 separate categories here.
Okay, just want to make sure.
One is a failure to adhere to all the expectations, and then there's one just on meetings.
Okay, so this, what we're talking about is just on meetings right now.
Well, I actually thought it should change, what do you need? I also think it should be changed where it says a pattern of failure to adhere to the above agreements will be ground for removal, may be ground for removal, not will, on either one of those. Anywhere it says will, we can't make we can make the recommendation, but we can't remove someone. So I don't want it to say will for a variety of reasons, just may. If anyone has other thoughts on that, I will certainly listen to them, but.
I might just change it for clarity based on what you just said, that if a member fails to attend 3 or more CRB meetings within a 12-month period, the board may recommend removal to the council, because that's really all we can do, and we won't do it in every case necessarily, but it gives us the ability to do that.
Correct.
And the clarity on behalf of what I asked, that is in regards to hearings, et cetera, or this is just on this meeting?
It's just related to.
Just for these meetings.
Just for these meetings.
And Brendan, the clarification on the hearings, I think that once we look at our hearing structure, that may
You're talking
be
about
more,
number,
yes.
number
may-
4,
maybe
on
more-
board member expectations?
Maybe more possible, because unfortunately, when you have to get, and you know, I mean, when you have to get the 3 different appointees and the complainant and the officers and the attorneys all together, it's kind of hard to say we're always going to do it at 4 o'clock or we're going to do it at 2 o'clock or, you know, however we're going to do it. So I think we need to look at those things first and then have clear expectations on hearing availability and stuff, if that makes any sense. And the same with, as far as events, whatever anybody feels comfortable with. I don't think we've ever really said, you have to go to, like as an at-large appointee, I would not expect that you go to every event in every district because you were appointed at large. You know, at that point, I mean, obviously, I would prefer that people go to their district, but if someone can't make it, but they can make something else, I'd rather see people at the events than assigned people at the events. Any other questions on the expectations, so we can get them printed up and signed and all that stuff? Okay. Ground rules, I'm a little concerned, I don't know what we're talking about with ground rules. Do you remember the ground rules thing?
Yep, that one.
I didn't know what it was about, so I just made a note that it was
Oh,
about the
okay.
public comment section. That's why the handwritten note is there.
I have a question that it pertains to, possibly pertain to what we're talking about now. For instance, at the hearing times, et cetera. Is everyone on the board required to be, and if not, at the hearings, et cetera, or is it picked people for the hearing? Pick a choice of,
A hearing panel is chosen. We have to have one that's representative of one from the mayor, one from a common council district, and one from an at-large.
Okay.
When we are attempting to schedule hearing panels, we reach out to board members to see who is available on a particular day. The day is provided typically by opposing counsel, and then we look to find board members that are present. Everybody is supposed to attend a hearing. As training, we have board members come in that are new to sit in on hearings before they are on a hearing panel itself to see the inner workings of it. But yes, every board member should be available to attend a hearing a month, a hearing every other month, something, but we try to work on people's schedule. So yes, hearings have to be, all board members should
but
be.
chosen by someone.
So just 3 people
Just
have to
3
be there
people?
for that hearing unless you're new and you want to go to a particular one. But you wouldn't have to, once you've seen one, you wouldn't be at a training that me and Joe and Lori are on. You wouldn't be at a hearing.
The panel that's chosen goes by people's availability. It's not like me saying, oh, okay, I definitely want Joe, I definitely want Brent, I definitely want Samaya on this hearing. It goes by, hey, you told me on, you know what I mean, on certain days, you're available after 3 o'clock. Okay, the opposing counsel gave me this, and this date after 3 o'clock, are you still available?
Okay. My question is because of an issue, for instance, on a hearing that we just ran into, it was a lack there of a person. So wouldn't it be wise if we have more people called, and then that way if someone doesn't, you'll have that.
So the problem with that would be the fact that you have to review the materials prior to attending a hearing. So therefore, if you're talking about us having a backup to a hearing panel, that would mean everyone from a particular appointee would have to have read that case too in order to be a backup. That's a lot. So typically you read the case for which you are assigned the panel on. So
I agree, we need to have, I think this should be part of our hearing committee rules, is better mechanisms for scheduling them, reminding people, and making sure people are there, because this continues to come up, and I agree, it creates a lot of inconvenience for everybody.
Yes.
So I agree, we need better systems in place for
Better
that.
system, yeah, I believe so.
I would compliment Lori and Renette. They have been working on this issue for a long time, not just this year. They've been working on it for years. And I think with the committees coming more into view, we would have a rules committee and a legislative committee working together to join Lori and Renette in talking to the Common Council and saying, we need this. To succeed, this is what we need. And I think the more involved the board gets, the better the results are going to be in the short run.
It's not to discredit, I just saw that the problem when I saw it last week, and I thought it was a way somehow we could fix it.
Right, but I mean, I agree, like it would be like, oh, okay, you be on standby just in case, but that, again, that appears to be a lot to request based upon the, volume of a particular case and you're just kind of on standby and you've spent 4 hours reviewing a case, depending on how much material, and you're just on standby, that just, I think, is a lot.
In those meetings, though, stuff is being revealed over and over again, showing what is taking place in regards to the hearings. So that person that's in there will get a chance to see what is actually going on.
What I'm saying is, you're saying that a person, so say if I was a mayoral appointee, and I'm supposed to be on a hearing panel, you're saying that I should have a backup just in case I'm not available. So I'm supposed to then ask Don to be the back. So if I had Don on a hearing panel, and then I have Samaya as her backup, both of them are reviewing this case. And then I'm supposed to have Don on standby to see whether or not at the time of the hearing, Samaya shows up. And then if Samaya doesn't show up, we wait for Don to come?
No, I'm just saying have people there in the spot.
So you're saying have people sitting in the room waiting for the hearing to start?
It won't hurt if more persons on the CRB board is there, even though they may not be in that position, because you can't move it.
Yes,
Can
it
you
will,
move
because you have to have it based upon, so
You have to have something from each part of the.
we have to have somebody from each district, and I think that's a lot to ask.
We have
people
enough
to
trouble
just show
getting
up.
3 people for a hearing. And
just hang
to
out.
try and get 6 is just
Look, I think-
mind-boggling.
Let's
but
consider it.
It's
Let's
something
put
that
it in
we
the
would,
hopper
that
of-
we would talk about
Yeah.
in the committee that we're going to form, that we just voted to have.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that would make sense. So write it down so you don't forget.
Would you like to join?
It's not, isn't about that. I'm just trying to find about how.
Right, no, I
things
get
should
it.
be.
I get
How-
it.
A waste of time is, we sit in there with those people, they sit in there, and if we come up with an alternative, something, it'll fit. It'll fit, and it won't be a waste of time on their behalf or ours, and we make it work somehow.
Totally.
Okay.
I've been
And-
called when I wasn't assigned a hearing panel. I was called 15 minutes in, and I went, but that meant I wasn't prepared. And it meant that I was starting the hearing 30 minutes after it was supposed to start, and I felt terrible about it. But I wasn't supposed to be there, but I went there because I was called, and it's very embarrassing. So I think we can definitely it's embarrassing for all of us. So I think we can definitely make better systems. If I'd gotten a call that morning, or a calendar invite, or something like that, or multiple, multiple of those things, it would have been much more likely that I would have known, oh, I'm scheduled for this hearing panel, I can either go or I can't go. And I think more of those double-checking systems would be great. And maybe it does mean a backup. Maybe that is a solution.
One of the things that I think that you had pointed out that I haven't heard an answer to yet is that what is the weight on not attending the hearing versus not attending the meetings?
This was the first time that, since I've been on the board since 2018, that someone did not show up for a hearing.
Okay. But I'm saying, is there a set standard that if you don't attend, if you're required to have 2 hearings a month and you don't make either one of those?
It may be grounds for dismissal, for
So
recommendation.
is that anywhere documented?
Yes, it is. It's right
Okay.
above where we had the other one.
Okay, so,
And that's why we're trying to do this. That's the point. We're trying to have something, because we don't have anything. We just have frustration when it doesn't happen.
okay. Well, and the whole
Hence the
idea,
proposed rules.
That's all.
and the idea about having someone sit in on the meeting who's not part of the panel,
You cannot sit in on a hearing unless you're there for training.
well,
There are no guests.
okay,
at
so then
hearings.
what classify as a training?
You
So,
attending,
you
attend
attending
one
because
and
you
then
haven't.
that's, you're off the training list?
and
or-
no,
no.
you have, right, you still have training, you just don't have training on hearings. You still have, you have continuous training all of the time.
Right.
But sitting in, so me verbally telling you what the hearing rules and procedures are very different than you sitting in a hearing and seeing how it goes. And so that's the reason why before you are on a hearing panel, we have you sit in a hearing so you can watch the person who is being the hearing panel chair, how they conduct it. You watch how opposing counsel is going to be presenting the facts on their end as it relates to the officers. You see what the kind of expectations are of what should happen at the time of a hearing.
Right.
That's the point of it.
Okay.
We didn't used to do that. We just used to have you just come to a hearing and there you are. And that to me wasn't fair. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to see what it looked like so you can ask, questions, you know what I mean, before you're on a panel, before you're, in order to help facilitate some sort of training. But I was gonna talk a little bit further, but the CRB has ongoing training. We always have training.
But again, I'm asking, so if you attend one session as a training session, then you no longer can attend any other session as a training
Correct.
session?
Because it begins to,
That's-
And maybe that's something
and
that the
maybe
Rules
that's
Committee-
something we talk about. Maybe you need like two or something of that nature, but at least we try to do one because
Okay.
we know that it's an some people may see it as an inconvenience to have to sit in it, period, because sometimes they're long. Some people find it provides them with more clarity. It helps them do their job. It just is kind of a learning, you know what I mean? It's a learning experience and it's gonna depend on each board member. So I made it one as a mandatory training because I wanted at least people to get something. And then, we talk about it. We just have to let the other parties know, if we're gonna have another observer, just as a courtesy to them. So it's not saying that it can't never, it's just that one was mandatory to try to get some training before you were on a panel.
Okay.
So the one that I went to, I would like to be included as another trainee because it wasn't a full hearing.
Okay.
So you do remember that one?
Yes, I do.
And I don't think from looking at the panel hearing policies and procedures that our current policy excludes board members from attending. It says it's not open to the public, but it doesn't say that other
Right, that's
CRB
what I'm
board
saying.
members could not appear. So that's another thing I think we could consider. Do we want to explicitly say other CRB board members may be there? I think we could include them now. I don't think our rules, that would violate our rules to do that. We haven't had people who are available to come, I think, in the
That's what
past, who want to come to
Well,
extra
and
hearings,
that's,
so
I did want to
kudos,
point out
Don.
that, some people work. Not all of us are retired. I am, you are. So it makes it difficult when someone is working if the hearing is during the day. A lot of times they'll take time off to do the hearing, so I personally don't like to ask people to take too much time off from their job unless they happen to have the kind of job that doesn't matter. But, so, yeah, we want people to be as trained as possible. And I think that this is probably a good time for me to point out, as I said to Elsie, we have the hearing rules, the ordinance, are in your binders, and it really, I know I find that, no insult to Barry, but it's pretty boring to read those, the ordinance, but I do read it a lot. And it just is helpful. The same with the hearing things. That's why we have one at every hearing, so that people can keep reading it and refreshing in their minds that this is what the hearing is to look like. It's not easy, and we're asking a lot from people, and we're asking people to make decisions that affect people's lives, and we need to remember that, and just, I just want to point out that we take it very seriously, and I think we all do. And we
Now, is that
need to
binder
do
in
that.
a digital format?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. So you should have received an email today that invited you to Police One, which is our online training portal that actually assigned you a task as it relates to the binder. And the binder is now up there on digital form for which you can go on there and you can click through it. And it's been assigned to you up until I think November the 7th to complete and review, going through all of the different sections that are in your binder.
And
So,
it just
yes.
did come out today, so don't feel that you,
Yeah, the
you know.
email
I tried to
just
pull my
came out
stuff
today. But it is up there.
And who sent the email?
It should-
It's on your city email.
Oh, okay.
My stuff came on it didn't come on my city stuff. It came to my personal email.
No,
The letter. Today.
that was it. You need to check your city email.
I tried
For
to, but it
this,
would-
for this link.
Oh, for that right there?
Yes, that right
Yeah,
there.
because I couldn't get my stuff.
Okay, so, I don't know that you have technology issues until you tell me. If you can't log in for a key fob, we gotta go through the help desk, we gotta do all types of stuff. So that simply email me and say, hey, I'm having an issue with my logging into my city email. We'll get in a help desk ticket. They usually reset your password, and all of that kind of stuff. But, there's nothing that alerts us to any issues. So you definitely have to tell us that. And so anything that is case related, it goes to, or confidential, it goes to your City of Syracuse email. Things that are open to the public, I can send you reminders to your personal email. But anything that is like case sensitive, I forwarded actually the email that I previously sent to you, your city email, most recently to remind you guys of the hearing. And I put it to your personal email because I didn't get any responses. So I figured no one, maybe that, I needed to forward it that way. So that's why you got the information most recently with the agenda, because that's public, with the letters, as it related to the council, and with the information as it related to the job descriptions. You got all of those to your personal email because those are public. But when I give you access to the hearings folder, when I give you access to cases to be reviewed prior to coming to tonight's meeting, that's all going to your City of Syracuse email page.
Yeah, I just wasn't able to pull mine up, so.
For what it's worth, I don't know, what you use, but I find it easier to get the city emails on my phone than I do on my laptop.
Yeah, I only have the phone.
I'm not sure why, but,
I didn't want to, it said for me to sign up for something, and I didn't want to do it until I talked to her to make
Okay.
sure that it's something I'm supposed to sign up for.
gotcha. Okay, sounds good. Administrators review, there was a meeting scheduled on Monday that Joey probably doesn't know about yet because I just texted him a little while ago, with the chair of the Public Safety Committee and the representative from the mayor's office and the 3 board members who are on the current evaluation panel, which is Joey, myself, and Hatisha. So more news to come next month on that.
Can you just remind us what that means? What
What means?
the administrator's review is?
And she gets an evaluation,
Okay.
and it's by the 5 people that are on the committee to evaluate and oversee the administrator.
Remind me, is there a personnel committee on our board, or?
There's
no?
an office something, there's like an office something that is a subcommittee that talks about office procedures or something of that nature, but it hasn't been, usually the board chair is, everybody has been asked to be on the committee. And they're,
The office committee?
no, every board member has been asked to be on a committee. And some board members, Cynthia used to be on the office-related committee, and other, you know what I mean? It's kind of
I
been,
think it's pretty much been Cynthia by herself.
yeah, it's been Cynthia for quite some time as it relates to office-related stuff. We asked that board members, I think it's part of the rules, the thing was to be on a committee, to choose to be on. And so people are on several different committees, but yes, one was office procedures or something of that nature, that we had previous people on, yes.
This is an administrator review committee.
Correct.
Right, which is different than the office
Got it.
committee.
Okay. I'm
Yes.
just trying to understand where it was organizationally.
Yep. It's part of the legislation that says that the administrator is supposed to get a yearly review, and
We're a little behind
yeah.
for a variety of reasons. That I don't really want to get into publicly. Okay. Why not? Activity report.
Okay, so in terms of activity, so I know I was not here for the month of July, due to my So cases, before I start crying, because I'm not going to. July, we received 3 complaints online. We received 1 by mail. In August, we received 4 online, 3 by mail, and 2 through SPD. So that makes a total of 58 cases for the year of 2024. I will note that 1 case in the month of August that we received by mail was asking that we assist with the person's charges being reduced. That is not the CRB's legislative powers. So typically that case, if the person does not respond to my letter and advise of some other sort of thing that they would like us to assist with, that's usually going to fall under like a lack of jurisdiction because we do not have. So I just want to make sure that I point that out. The budget is on the lovely green paper that explains to you what is in the budget line for each category. I wanted to make sure I pointed that out because we have several things that I wanted to discuss. And I wanted you to be able to see where the money was being pulled from. And so that's on there. And so I'll just talk about those budgetary things right now. Okay. So we have legislation out to the council, and it's going to be before them in the September 16th study session coming up. We have requested every time that we want to utilize funds that have been allocated in particular areas, we have to send a letter to the council, to the clerk for the city. And in that particular letter, we advise them what we would like to utilize our funds that have been allocated for. So we have a letter to the council requesting that they approve a legislation in the amount of $15,000 to Freeland Investigation Services. That's our private investigator. We have $1,200 that we are asking for them to approve legislation for, and that is for our process server. $1,200.
What process do we serve?
So we serve subpoenas. And so if in fact, when we used to have to serve subpoenas on officers to attend hearings, which was how they then got counsel, we had to have a budget for it, and that person would serve the police department. If we serve a subpoena on the school district, if we serve the subpoena on, say, a store in order for me to get camera footage, if we need to serve a subpoena on a person to attend a hearing, like say if they can't attend the hearing, their job is saying that they can't, but this person needs to be a witness or something, we serve a subpoena on that person. If we needed to, so like AMR, if we weren't getting any, we needed AMR records, we would serve them with a subpoena.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. In the cases that I've been involved with, I don't think there were any subpoenas issued.
It's not every case. It's on a case-by-case basis.
So is that a yearly
That's
expense?
a yearly expense. But we don't usually spend $1,200. We just usually put it out there so that then, because we were spending more previously, and we needed to make sure we have it in the budget to cover it. But we typically don't have to now that we don't have to subpoena officers. So imagine if you have 12 officers that are invited to a hearing, and you have to serve, you know what I mean, and it could be $50 to $75 for process server, then you're adding that up, and you need to have, that money available. So it's just allotted money as a legislation in order to have an ordinance created.
So does it go back into the pot if it's not used?
We'll spend it. We'll move it around and spend it towards the end of the year if it hasn't been spent, so that we
So
don't
it can be
lose it.
reallocated, but
Right.
we put it in there for now as in $1,200, and then we see whether or not we need to utilize it or not.
How much have you spent on process?
We've been up to
All right,
$1,000
can-
before.
Can I answer this?
Yes.
Just so you know, prior to the current attorneys, we had to subpoena every single police officer, including witnesses. So there were cases where 25 people were subpoenaed. So, and there are also times where we've had to reissue subpoenas. It's been crazy. But fortunately, with the people that we're using now, and also the city changed because the city would not provide them an attorney unless they were subpoenaed. And it was like just really crazy for a while. So in the past, a lot of money has been spent.
But that's not a current expense that we're
Correct.
expecting.
It's
But we
not, which
need
is
to
the
ha-
reason why we decreased it down to 1,200 opposed to, it was at $3,000. So we reduced it down to 1,200 because that should cover at least a portion. But we kind of explained that us having to subpoena officers to participate in our process was a waste of, taxpayer dollars as it related to that because they should be, and
To my understanding, they don't have to come to these hearings, correct? Based on the CRB.
They did if we subpoenaed them.
if we issue a subpoena, they have to attend. It does not mean they have to testify, but they have to attend.
They were not attending at all.
Okay, so what purpose would it serve if they do attend and don't?
We can't make them talk. We can only make them be there. We agree with you. I mean, that has always been a question, is why are they here if they're not going to testify?
Right.
But you continue the process, and now we've got people that are speaking. And, it seems like each year, things get a little better when it comes to the interactions. But we need to have the money there in case we need to subpoena people.
Okay.
Whether it's a police officer or, like Renette said, going to a store and getting their footage, or, a complainant might say that so-and-so, their friend, was a witness, and they may not be willing to come unless they are forced to come. So we just want to have the money there for that.
All right, so, also, Axon. Axon, we have talked about having interview equipment, available in the office, opposed to having to use one of those handheld devices, which make me kind of a little bit nervous. And so this would provide us with the ability to have the same type of interview equipment that the police department has when they interview officers as it relates to the complaints and things of that nature. It would put it in our conference room. And that is $9,298.96, and that's per year for 5 years. It's a total of $46,000, which is on that pink paper. It's a total of $46,494.72, but that is for 5 years. It's only $9,000 a year. And so we're going before the council to ask them to approve legislation for $9,298.96 per year for the next 5 years, not to exceed $46,494.72. All right, and that is going to provide interview equipment. So if you look over here where you see technical devices and tools, and we have allotted already $13,500. That $9,298.96 is going to come out of that line to pay for this year. Okay?
Has the board already voted to approve that expense?
Yes, we already did the interview equipment. We've talked about it. This is now the expense. We had already had discussions, and we had been waiting for Axon to give us the numbers, and now we have the numbers as it relates to it. But it is imperative, if we're going to ask them for copies of interviews, it's imperative for us to have the same thing and be able to provide it as an exchange. It's the way that we build continuity. It's the way that we build trust. It's the way that we move our office into the 21st century. So if you guys, as a new board, would like to take a vote, you can vote tonight as it relates to it, because now we have the numbers. But yes, we've previously talked about interview equipment for quite some time. But now we have the cost, which was the reason why we had $13,500 allotted in the first place, was because that was for the information that we gave at the time we were talking about the budget. That's the reason why we asked for that amount, because at the time, that's how much they said that it was going to be.
And just for people that don't understand, even though it's in the budget, the council has to provide legislation to pay it. So it's not We're not asking for new money, we're asking to be able to spend the money that they've already allocated us
Okay?
for that. Does that make sense?
So that's for the interview room. Now, the lovely body worn camera footage that we all review, that I put inside the folder. Currently, we were getting a link from Axon, from the police department, and I would have to download those videos. If one case has 25 videos, my computer cannot handle me downloading all of those videos, because then I download it, I drop it into the air on the cloud, but I'm still downloading it to my system, so it's taking up my space. In order to avoid that, which right now I've killed a lot of space, we would get our own evidence.com login, and then I would be able to share the link, and then I won't have to download in order to get this access. And then it gives us an inevitable storage space on evidence.com as it relates to this, okay? That amount going before the council is $1,433.04 per year for the next 5 years, not to exceed $7,165.20. And so again, that line where you see technical devices and tools, we're going to allocate $1,433.04 out of that pot to pay for this evidence.com.
I am troubled by this expense because part of the reason why we went to the city emails and this whole Outlook city Microsoft system was so that we'd be able to log into one system and see everything. That was my understanding when we went to that, instead of going to Dropbox or someplace else where videos used to be.
But you still are. This is the stuff that helps me on the back end to give you everything that you need. So when you still go into your folder when you still go into your folder and you're looking at a case, right? You're still gonna just see those folders. We're
not gonna have to log into
No,
evidence.com.
you're not going to. That's what I do on the back end in order to get you all the stuff that you're going to see. You're not doing this. This is an administrative function that's necessary for you to get all the evidence that you need in order to review this stuff. You're not individually getting logins. We're getting one for the office, for which is going to get managed by me, downloading the stuff, or the legal secretary downloading the stuff and putting it in there. So you're not doing anything more than what you are already doing. You're clicking that folder for the complainant, and you are going into the ops folder, and you are able to see everything that you need. You're not doing anything additional. This is making sure that I can provide you with everything, because currently we don't have enough space. And it's different from in downloading is what we have to do because we don't have the platform. This would alleviate the download, and then we would just share the link and I'll be able to drop. And that's the part about...
We've been trying to get to evidence.com for the last 5 years.
Yes.
And this is the last step in doing that. Because anytime we're at a police liaison committee, the police department will say, well, why don't you use evidence.com? And we say, because we don't have access. And then we try and get access, and then we don't get access.
So then we got access by sending them the link so that they didn't have to then provide us with CDs. So just imagine, before we had to put a CD inside the computer, I had to then upload it again. So then this way, everything becomes way more seamless. And again, we're moving our office into the 21st century, which is we can't be asking everybody else to move there and we not move there as well. This is where we're getting at. And again, we already allocated $13,500 to technical devices and tools. It's already there in order to pay for these type of office related things that we need to make our office move smoothly.
I would move for additional discussion on the interview equipment, because there is a new board, and I don't feel like I understood the I don't feel like I understand the need for that.
So
Like, it
when,
doesn't have to be today.
so when we have, so so when you see that little, when you go into cases, right? And you see that picture of that officer that's sitting in a chair, and the Office of Professional Standards is interviewing them about the complaint. That's the interview equipment that they're using. So we get that. So if we are asking them to interview officers and share that information with us, they're saying, hey, when you interview complainants and they share their information as it relates to their complaint, share that with us. Because again, sometimes when they share it with us, it's different than when they share it with them. Sometimes when they write it on the complaint form, it's different than what they write it on the complaint form. And it says, when we had questions as to whether or not the officers were asking complainants and officers particular questions about the complaint, that's the reason why we wanted the recorded video. When they want to see how we're doing our investigations, we're hiring an investigator. They want to see how we are investigating cases, what questions are we asking the complainant that may solicit certain responses that may not be on the complaint form for various reasons. If we're asking them to share their interview, it's only right that we prepare and share ours as well. And that's what we're trying to do in order to move, again, our office into the 21st century, in order to make sure we're asking for the same thing. We're asking for it, we get that. Because before, they were not recording interviews. And so we just got the ops report, which you've seen, and that's all we got. We didn't know, you know what I mean? And now we were relying on a synopsis from the officer, you know, who's writing the report to tell us, hey, this is what happened at the time of the interview.
I guess my thinking is, I don't feel any obligation to provide equal or high-quality discovery back to the police department about someone that they may have charges. I don't feel any obligation to give them that information and to make it a high-quality format to do that. And realistically, we don't have any pretrial procedures. We don't have any mechanism by which someone can shorten up. We have a hearing scheduled, and someone can say, oh, well, we should dismiss this case because this interview showed, at this interview, this person admitted to wrongdoing. We don't have any of those procedures. So we're going to have a hearing anyway on any cases where there's any, I don't know what our standard is off the top of my head, but where we think that there is some triable issue of fact anyway. And so I don't see why, we don't have any procedure by which we could say, you said this in your interview, which we got to see on this really cool technology.
now we are.
Please let me finish. We don't have that procedure. Maybe it might be developed in the future, but right now we don't have any way at a hearing to say, we're going to bring up your video now and we're going to compare that to this, and now we're going to go by, our rules say we go by what the person testifies to at the hearing. So I think that's a very large expense that is unnecessary at this time based on what our current practices are.
So when we are doing our investigation, and even when you will get a chance to see this, so that before you vote a case to a hearing, you're able to see what the person has to say. I mean, it gives you an opportunity to assess the complainant at the time, which is what you don't get right now. I mean, to me, it's not so much of leveling the playing field with the police department. It is also absolutely great for the investigator in order to be able to play and hear what this person said, to adequately do an investigation and be able to represent that in the case summary.
I hear you. I don't think it's useless. However, as someone that reviews a lot of these cases, when there's 10 cases or 15 cases a month, I'm not watching every single video. I'm reading the documents. I am reading the investigation report. And if there is any possible issue of fact, I'm voting it to a hearing. And so that would add zero to me as someone who's reviewing 10 or more cases a month. I'm not going to spend 5 hours on each one of those cases before we even vote to go to a hearing. If I read the investigation report, I read the police report, I get a sense of it. And if there's anything that I think is even remotely possible as an issue that could be found as viable, I vote it to a hearing. I mean, I don't know how everyone else votes, but that's how I look at it.
I look at it.
But that's awesome. That's awesome. I don't have 50 hours a month to
I
review
understand that.
the videos on all the cases that are going to be reviewed. So I err on the side of I'm gonna vote it to a hearing if I think there's any issue. And many cases there still aren't issues there. So I think that it's money that would be wasted on me. And I think to the extent that we're doing it to level the playing field so the police get the same information or get a high-quality
It's just
information
leveling our playing field.
about the person against, who made a complaint against them,
vote on
I
this
don't have any
separately?
interest in that, so.
All right, let's vote on these separately.
Are we gonna vote on this issue right here, on the money?
We're going to vote separately on the two issues that are in front of us right now. The first one, I would like a motion, or I will make a motion, to go to the council and request that they approve out of our technical devices and tools budget, $9,298.96 per year for 5 years to upgrade our equipment in the interview room. And I would look for a second.
I'll go ahead and second that.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the interview equipment room technology?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Okay.
In there, so, not ready yet.
So we have,
Can you raise your hand if you're in favor, please?
4.
Opposed?
Opposed, we got 2, 3.
3.
So it
Okay, it
passes.
passes. The second one is a motion for $1,433.04 per year for 5 years, not to exceed 716520. I forgot the not to exceed 46,494.72 on the other one. To from the same budget to purchase the evidence.com system. Any more discussion on that?
I'd ask if we can table this till next month.
So
What will happen if we don't bring it to the council in September? Can we do it in October?
Sure. I mean, but I'm not going to be able to download your evidence. So literally right now, I can't give you what you need. I can't review the stuff that I need to review because I don't have enough space.
Oh, I understand. I feel that this is something that just needs a little bit more time.
More time.
But
And if we rush it today, I don't know if it'll pass. Just looking
But
at
I'm
the
not
numbers
under-
from last time and listening to the debate, I think we would have a hard time doing it today. But I think if we have a month to work it out, I think the evidence.com motion can come through next month.
My concern is that if I don't get this access, right? I'm having a hard time downloading the stuff right now to drop into our cases. So I just want to make that very clear. I'm trying to tell you that right now, we are at a standstill with me being able to drop in this information to review what the police department is sending because I don't have enough space. There's nowhere else they can give me space because the cloud has space, but it's because I have to download it and my computer no longer has any space.
You
So
can't delete it from your computer.
I would be having to go, I delete each one now, but some cases have 25 body-worn cameras. So when I'm downloading the folder that's containing that 25, I don't have enough space to get all of the stuff in order to go back and delete it. I don't have room to, you know what I mean? This is like it's like a technology issue that I don't have enough room because I can't download it to the cloud. I have to download it from evidence.com and then drop it. It's technology, and
Well,
I
let me
think
ask you this
that-
question.
Yes.
What is wrong with external drives where you could set up an external drive that you wouldn't have to have on your system? You can actually download that data to that external drive. then you wouldn't have to, because, I mean, external drives, a terabyte drive is not that expensive
So
anymore.
you want me to save it to an external drive?
To a
To
terabyte
take time,
drive.
download it to an external drive that I have plugged into my computer, to then take it from there, to then upload it to the cloud? Like,
So explain the logistics of when you say you're taking it from the cloud back down
so
to the computer.
evidence, so Axon, so the police department sends me an email
Okay.
from Axon,
Okay.
right? It gives me a link, right?
Right.
And in this link, it's for this particular case.
Okay.
And it's gonna give me every body-worn camera that is associated with that particular case.
Okay.
So one case could have 25 different body-worn cameras. So they may be sending me 3 different folders for one case to be downloaded. So you want me to stick, so I understand, you want me to stick a external drive into my computer to then download it to the external drive. And then from the external drive, you then want me to then drag it from there and then drop it to the cloud on my desktop? Because I have to then drop it into the folder for each case. So every case is a case folder, right? So when you look in your, every case has a case folder.
Right.
So then I would take it from there, from that external drive, then drop it into that particular case folder.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. You could actually set up a link that would go to that hard drive to pull the data instead of having to go through those extra steps. You know, there's probably a cheaper way of doing this than going with the.
This is the very cheapest way.
Yeah.
I mean, this $1,433 is actually, again, it's for 5 years, and that's one price a year. You can look at the breakdown that's on the sheet, and it kind of explains it to you. But we're literally like every other place pays way more for evidence.com than what we are using, because all we need it for is the link.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this: what is the size of an average file that you have to download?
It depends. Like, I mean, this
I mean,
and
is
I
it a
think
terabyte?
that, this is what I think that you guys don't understand. Like, I'm doing this for how many cases? We get between 100 cases. We could get about 100 cases a year. Right now, we're at 58 cases. If one of those cases has 25, you know how long it's taking me to drop that in? Sometimes it's taking half the day for us to even download it from the link. And then it's just.
So it sounds like it's not an issue of the download. It sounds like we have an issue with speed from the internet to your system. So if we're not, I mean,
I think
if
in
we're not
terms of
looking at a
Robert's Rules of
gigabyte.
Order, I think a board member can ask to table it, and it has to be tabled.
And I'm
So
not.
I think-
I'm
I
not
think
saying that
exactly.
it
Yeah,
can't.
There's a motion to table on
And I
But you
second.
have
floor.
to vote down the motion that was made first, based upon Robert's rules. You have to go through the motion.
There is a motion
There's
with
a
a second.
motion on the table with a second. So then you would have to do your voting, and then another motion would have to be made thereafter.
It's the other way around. If you actually, this is my fear.
Okay.
If it fails today, we're going to have to do a lot with Robert's Rules of Order to bring it back up. And that's why I'm saying let's give it a month. We are missing, 4 or 5 board members here today. I feel I'm a pretty informed board member, and I'm a little bit lost on this. And I think there would be others
Because
that
I
would
do the
agree.
work.
I know you do.
Because I do the work, and you guys just see the back end of it, and this is the part that gets to be hairy, because you only see the end product. I'm trying to get you what you need to get, and I wasn't giving you the discussion to not have whatever you were doing and tabling it. I was just providing with you some information, so when the next time we come through, we don't have to have all of this discussion, which typically happens. Again, we have this discussion today, we do all of this, and then it comes back up on a motion, and we have discussion again. So I was just trying to give you all the information that you could get, so that when you're sitting there and you're thinking about this, you had all of the information, and I gave you the opportunity for that. But it is definitely up to you guys. I'm just saying that on the back.
I just have one question.
Yep.
Would that make it clear? Because as I'm watching some of the police footage, and it's a whole lot of spinning going on,
would this equipment assist with that as well?
I think so, because it would be it would be dropping it straight from the, you get what I'm saying? It would be dropping it straight from the frame from which it came from. The same, you know, where
Because
it's,
Axon provides the
Axon
body-worn
provides the
cameras.
body worn cameras. Like it
Okay.
is taking it straight from the source, opposed to then the regeneration of it all.
That makes sense.
And that's why I'm trying to get access to the source so we can stop having to do this secondary aspect that is time consuming, and I'm trying to get work done. I'm really trying to move these things along and get the stuff done for what you guys need. And all I'm asking for is for you guys to help me get the work done so that we can continue to move expeditiously through the processes. And right now, me not having enough disk space, I'm having to then remember, okay, this case had 25 cameras, I couldn't download all of that, let me set a tickler to go back when I have time. That's a lot when I'm still trying to do all of this day-to-day stuff. I'm still trying to investigate other cases. It's just trying to get you guys to understand what happens on the back end. And this is the part of the day-to-day technical stuff that helps you guys get the stuff that you are trying to get in order for you to review cases, in order to make decisions. That's all. Like that's all I'm trying to do, because we need to make this system more simpler than what it is, and assist in all ways possible, which is the reason why we requested a technical budget, was so that we could get technology that was going to help us do what we needed to do as a board.
Lori, as chair, I'm looking to you for guidance on votes.
I just can't understand why anybody would be against it. But,
I don't think we're against it. I think, like he
well,
said,
all right,
we need
let
a
me
little more
just
time.
let me just talk for a second, okay? For those of you that have not been around for a long time, we have talked about getting this particular program for at least 3 years. We never had the ability to do it. The council didn't give us the money to pay for it. This year we got the money. We got the proposal from the company that provides the body-worn cameras to the police department, and we're asking for $1,400 to pay for the ability to use that equipment. It's just very frustrating when you've been trying to do something for so long, and when you finally have the ability, people don't want to do it. That's all.
New
I'm
people
just
that-
frustrated.
Yeah, but like you said, for those people who have not been here and you've been
This is
around
not
for-
something that I'm going to use.
Right, it's gonna benefit the whole thing. It's not about that.
You know,
but
you've
it's
got, we're
point,
trying to
it's
hire
valid.
an investigator. It'd be really nice if the investigator had the tools to do the investigator's job without having to beg, borrow, and steal for it. That's all.
Do we
And
vote
I
or
don't really
table?
know about the procedure if we vote it down.
My
to bring it
understanding
up
on
again.
tabling is that an active motion can be delayed through a table for whatever particular reason the board decides. The problem with voting something up and then, or putting something up and then voting it down, you have to essentially bring it back to life. And that is not the easiest thing in Robert's Rules of Order. It's not improbable. I did it a couple of times when I served on my student senate in university at Albany. But my feeling, like, I don't feel I'm ready to vote on this. I don't know who does feel they're ready to vote on this. And I don't know if it would pass. And I fear that it won't. We won't know until we get the votes in, and that's why I motioned to
Right.
table.
I got
And,
it.
You know,
I
it
got
doesn't have a second. It's not on the floor yet until it does have a second, but I'll just
Well,
renew
actually,
it. I make a
it
motion to
does.
table
Linda-
it.
Linda did make a
Oh,
second
okay.
on the motion.
Okay.
That's where I got confused.
So my motion would be to table till October 3rd, and during that time, have this conversation that we're having now through phone calls and emails and committee meetings and things like that.
You know, the thing is, we're only talking about $1,400. I mean, it's not like you're looking at an astronomical figure on an expenditure. You know, and $1,400 to help improve the committee's visibility of cases that are going through with the video. I'm not sure if the buffering is part of that problem with the download or not. But, you know, it's something that shouldn't have even had a second thought about for $1,400.
I just think that if a board member has requested a table, then as a courtesy, and I think according to Robert's rules, we're supposed to table it for a month. Whether we all hate that idea
Well,
or
there
not.
also needs to be a second for that to happen. Are you
Okay,
seconding that
I
motion?
second that, yes, as I would for anyone who asked for a table on a vote that needed more information about a vote.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling, raise your hand.
I agree with the table because I'm not sure about the whole process and I want to know more.
All those not in favor of tabling, raise your hand. All those in favor of spending the $1,433.04. In favor of that, raise your hand.
In favor of the spending, but not now, correct?
No, we're doing it now. It was not
Oh,
tabled.
Okay, okay. All right, I got it.
Against? Abstentions? Thank you. Moving on.
Okay, so, going back to the amount, so we had the 13,500 allocated to that. And I just wanted to provide you guys with, that amount, so it'll be pulled out of that amount. Leaving in that remainder amount, which we do not have to vote on again, but the police one, which is what I just talked about, giving you guys access to the online platform for training, that is $685. It'll also be coming out of that $13,500. It is,
Sorry to interrupt. Do you have a document that is laying out all these numbers here, or are we just referencing your numbers in comparison to the budget?
correct.
Okay.
Well, they're on the pink paper. The 685 is not,
Just-
but
But that's just for.
But you have 13,500 in the technical budget. These are giving you the amounts that you're taking out of it.
Okay.
Yes, those are the quotes. That's what we're utilizing to take it out of the
so
13,000.
it's a total of, not including the 685, because I didn't add that yet, 10,732 for the two Axon programs.
And so, the police
Throw
one,
another 685 on there for police one.
so police one is $685, but that's not set to we don't need to renew that until December 31st because it was for a year from where we contracted it out and the year is not up. And so if we get it in during, you know, after, you know what I mean? Like, so we got it September, and it runs through September because we did it September of last year. So we still have, so before the end of this year, we'll have to pay $685 out of that budget for the Police One platform. The Grant Finder platform, that is still available. You did. You have
No, I gave it to Joey.
Oh, okay. The Grant Finder, which we've been utilizing to find grants as it relates to the CRB, just so you know, that yearly is up on November 29th. And we have to decide at that point in time whether or not we want to allocate another $5,000 for it. And next month's meeting, I'll give you guys a proposal that explains what we've been able to utilize as it relates to the Grant Finder and if we think that it's necessary to spend that $5,000. But if we had it, it would be, we have less than that in the technological devices line, but we could pull it from somewhere else if we had to add to it because we would be a little bit short.
Hey, Renee, is there any way to get that maybe like a week before? the
Yeah,
meeting?
you'll get it like, you'll get it a week before, just like you, yeah. Like as when I usually send the email that tells you, hey, the cases for review are going to be this, you'll get it at that point in time. You'll get the proposal. I'm just having Sherelle to finalize that because she's did a lot with the Grant Finder. And so I asked her to put information together about what she's been able to use while on it. Do we think that it's helpful or not? Because so far we have not been able to obtain any grants from it, so I'm not sure if we need to allocate that $5,000 again, and that's the reason why I'm having this discussion now, is so that you guys can think about that and have that in mind when you review that proposal. And the police one, now that you have the access, you have the link to it, you can see it, look at it. I also assigned another training module on it that's related to community policing. That'll pop up as well. You'll get that one next month. And so you'll be able to have time to review Police One before we have to decide whether or not we're going to pay that $685. But technically, it would come out of that same budget. Okay? But, excuse me. And then the last legislation that we have before the council coming up is $25,000 that's going to be allocated to, that we're requesting to be allocated to Bousquet Hosting, which is our attorney's office, and that's in the amount of $25,000. So all of those Freeland, Newzo, and BH and Bousquet Hosting, that all comes out of our rent, professional, and contract services line. And if you look on there, right there, you see it has 47,000 in that line. So that 25,000 would come out of there. That 15,000 would come out of there, okay? And also the Aaron Newzo would come out of there. That 1,200 comes out of that $47,450, and we'll still have some remainder. Okay, because that's where, if we were to hire a medical examiner for anything, that comes out of that contract services line. Okay. There are 6 cases to be reviewed in the executive session. The email from the Police One will say, you've been given a new assignment in the Police One Academy, CRB onboarding, so look for that. That's what it will say. It'll say you've been given, and it comes from, okay. Yep, so you should get it. You click on that link, and you'll be able to get right in there. You've all been, your city emails are all linked to it. You click on there, and you can pause it, start it, do all of that. If I wanted to assign quizzes or anything like that, or any sort of like, yeah, but I'm saying, it has the ability to do that because it does it as it relates to like policing.
Yeah,
you know,
no, I get
after
it,
you
I
get
get it,
like,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
do a course, you want to see
It's
whether
not
or not.
here. Gloria's not doing it.
Does it say something on there about
No, it
courses?
does not. It does
Okay.
not. So we're good, Lori.
Renee, I tried to log in. Do we have to register? I went to the link.
Yes, I asked
And
earlier.
then,
You have to,
but
you
then
have
it
to make
says
up
that
your
you're
own
not,
account.
you're not a member.
Yep, that's what told me too.
We'll have to work on it.
I'll see what happens because it let me write in because
Oh, okay.
you all are a member because you're listed on our roster. So
Okay,
that's
yeah.
how you got the email.
Right, I got the email, but then I went to the link, and the link says to register, and I put in the city email, my city email, right?
Okay.
And then it says you're not a member.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we'll have to talk to Scott if we can't get that. I'll try it when I get home too.
Okay. Let me know. And then the other one was the community policing, and that's about a 2-hour course, but that doesn't need to be completed until December. But again, it's so that we know whether or not we're going to spend that extra $685. We want to be able to try out the platform, see what's going on with it.
Is that under that new assignment, where we click under that new assignment thing of community policing? Or is it that
Yes.
something else?
Yep,
Okay.
it's right under there. I think the other thing was at the end of the year, every year, there's supposed to be something, we had heard that there are proposals that go out to senators about particular budgetary requests and things of that nature. So in your packet, you will see there's a copy of a letter that, we haven't sent or anything like that, but it's a legislative ask that we would be sending to a particular senator, asking for some additional funding so that we can try to look for alternative fundings besides the city, in giving us funding. So there's just a copy of a letter with a draft in there. So look at that letter. Let me know what your thoughts are as it relates to it, but I wanted to give you guys, some time to be able to look at that. You'll also see in your packets, there is the first quarter report for 2024. You'll also see that there's the second quarter report in 2024 as well, and the third quarter just ended, so usually I give myself a month in order to complete the next quarter's report, so there you have it. If you have any questions whatsoever, if you have any suggestions whatsoever as it relates to the quarterly reports, send them to me.
just have a question.
Yep.
Tell me how to reconcile, like, what's on page 12, which is like a summary, I think a summary,
So are you talking about the top half or the bottom half of 12?
the bottom half.
So
like,
this part-
it says, number of complaints in which the board recommended that the city, no, not that one. Okay, no, the second one, the number of cases where the CRB panel recommended disciplinary sanctions, it says 0, but then in the
You're talking about on page 12 of which report? I might be looking at the wrong one.
the second report,
The quarterly,
quarterly of April
April to June?
That's what it says on page 12, that 0 were recommended. But then on hearing outcomes on page 10, it says panel hearings resulting in disciplinary recommendations 2. So I'm trying to understand if those are different, how they're different.
Because these ones says the number of cases where the CRB panel recommended discipline sanctions to be imposed by the chief in the second quarter. I thought it said that they were, I think it's supposed to be as if they were imposed. Like, did we
So
recommend?
the wording of this
Right,
is wrong,
you get what I'm
that it
saying?
actually was imposed by the police.
So I have to double check, but it might, just to make sure that but usually it's about whether or not the chief imposed the discipline that we recommended.
Okay, so that's definitely not what this says.
Right, so that's what
So-
I gotta look at
okay.
so I'll look at the language to make sure that it reflects it the right way, but that's usually what it's trying to say.
So it should actually say that the number of cases where a CRB panel recommended disciplinary sanctions be imposed by the chief of police and implemented.
And the chief of
Right,
police actually did that.
Yeah, you get what I'm
Okay,
saying?
yeah, all right.
That's what
So
it's
we wanna
basically,
add- that makes
that's what it's
sense, right.
basically trying to say.
Oh, and on the police one, you actually sent out 2 emails. The
Yeah,
one.
you get 2 separate ones,
Yeah,
one
the
for
one
community
that's,
policing.
it's Tuesday, 3/18, that's the one that will automatically log you in. The one that's scheduled, the one today at 12:46, asks you to register.
Oh, for the community
For-
policing one.
Right, so
Okay.
for the Police One Academy, you want to go to the one that's Tuesday at 3:18, and
So-
that will automatically take you right in.
So it might be because the police one, academy one, that's the community policing, is not something that I created. It's
Okay.
something that's on the site. So that might be the reason why it's asking you to,
Because those are your,
yeah, that might be the reason why it's asking you to log in.
so that the first one won't log you in, the second one has your date, all your information, and takes you right in. The one that's
So the
Tuesday.
onboarding lets you in.
No, the one on Tuesday, at 3:18 is the one that takes you right in.
Okay, so they expire, so let me
They
see.
just want him to reset his password.
Yeah, they want you to reset your they want
Oh,
you
I
to-
already did.
Okay.
That
Okay,
actually
that
had my
was all
name
one.
and
Gotcha.
everything,
All right,
and
so-
when I clicked on it, had me set the password.
Okay.
So that's
All
the one
right,
you
so
want to go
let's
to,
look
the
at
one
that
at
in
Tuesday.
executive session briefly so I
Okay.
can make a proper note. But that's all for the, that is all for the administrator's report.
There are vacancies that, open
We,
positions.
the open position, so we're hiring for a data analysis, community engagement, and full-time investigator. So, yep, so those are all the positions. I sent you guys copies of the position postings.
I have a question about the postings, and you may or may not know the answer to it, but the thing that I find interesting is where it says in qualifications, a 4-year degree and X number of years' experience in either a legal setting or in an office that provides community services or something along those lines.
Okay.
So, for example, a data analyst, is it really necessary for them to have experience in an office that provides community services? Or could they work in a office that they just do data? I mean, I guess that would be my question. And like I said, that might be
Yeah,
a
so
county
s-
question and not you.
Yeah,
but-
some of those things, they all have to go through the county, and the county then decides where they fall under. So that might be something that was in there.
I mean, it just seems odd that
data
particular experience, I
I'll
think,
look at
would
it.
probably stop people that are very good with data.
Okay.
I mean, I understand with a community engagement specialist, if that makes some sense. Even then, I think you could probably figure it
But
out.
also, because we want our data analysis to be able to go out to the community events, do surveys with people when we come to
I understand
table.
all
So
that, but does
I
that
don't know
really
if-
need to be a minimum qualification?
I
Was
don't-
really my.
Yeah,
my
I don't
point.
know if it needs to be a minimum qualification, but I don't know if that's put in there because we do want them to feel comfortable, not just sitting in the, you know what I mean, at the office doing data, but being able to go into the community and, you know what I mean, complete that. Like if we're having a tabling event and we wanted to have people, you know, talk about whether or not they knew who the CRB was, how many people came up to our table, had heard of us before. We want them to feel comfortable doing that, but I don't,
Okay.
Just in this section, it would be helpful for me to know who left and when they left, just so I know
we
how long
cannot
these-
discuss that inside of, that has to be discussed in executive session based upon personnel-related stuff. If you
Okay,
look
can
at the Roberts Rules of Order,
Can you tell me how long they've all been open?
position posting show, I can't tell you that, and when we have to talk about that stuff, it has to be talked about in executive session. The posting for the postings came out, you guys received the postings, they just came out recently. Community engagement has been open since, I mean, I thought that personnel-related stuff had to be discussed in executive session, and I'm not feeling comfortable having any conversation about that, other than
You can't
stating.
tell us how long they've been vacant, without reference
That I
to who
think would be
they are?
How long it's been vacant.
I mean,
Okay.
The position that is vacant, i.e. community engagement, has been vacant since the end of June,
no,
July.
it's not even the end.
August 30th is.
The investigator position has never been filled, it's new. And
Yeah, I'm
I
just talking about the
believe
people who've
that-
been here at the meetings
And I
before.
believe that the data analyst is still encumbering their position.
She's still in the position and will be leaving, so that's why, I mean, the question
They're not
doesn't
there.
really,
It's not a vacancy yet.
but again.
Well, again, I would have no way of knowing
but
this
again,
information
I
if
would
I'm
like,
not-
but I would have shared it if, I think that the rules, I would like to really pull up that part, which has to do with open meetings law and that part, because I don't
Well,
really.
they can fire me for saying that out loud, I don't really care.
I mean, you have no idea what I've gone through. Let's
No,
just-
I'm sure,
I'm
and,
just-
you know, like I said, I'm the one who said it, Lori Nielsen, chair. And if you want me removed, then I will be gone, no problem. Not you.
For the purpose of our
The world.
oversight, right, we have a duty here of oversight of.
Right, but
of the-
personnel-related
But I guess
matters
at-
need to be discussed in
In
executive session.
executive session.
I got it, I
Okay,
just,
all right.
So that's
Committee
a
reports.
personnel-related matter. But again, I can state we have vacancies. We have the vacancy of the private investigator, we have the vacancy of the community engagement, we have the vacancy, we will have a vacancy, we have the postings out there for those positions on Indeed, if you would like to be a member of the Citizens Review Board Department, for which you would be a city employee for, not a board member.
I know people who would like it, but they don't fall into the category of having experience in providing community services. But that's a whole nother ballgame. Okay, community outreach and public education.
I don't have anything
There's
scheduled
nothing at
as
this
of yet
point.
for September.
would you, is
We
there a way
just
to tell us
recently in
who's
August-
on which committees? Do we have that?
Yeah, we've
information
sent that out a
someplace?
few times, but I'll
We'll
resend
send it
it.
out again.
But are they just assigned by somebody, or
No, you-
we're supposed to pick them?
No, you guys
Pick what
pick
committee
them
you want to be
upon
on, and then we.
joining the
you run
board.
it.
We say, hey, you know, as you join the board, you're supposed to pick a committee to be on. Joe's on the police liaison committee. Lori's on that one. I'll send it back out.
And if it could
But
be
we
included
talked
in the
about
next
committees a
handouts.
couple of times.
Yeah.
Like, they've been on the agenda like a few times at like a couple of board meetings.
Oh, I think they're often on, but I don't know like what any of the new members are on, or I've never been, I don't think we've ever had a discussion at a meeting like, hey, I'm the chair of
Right.
this committee, do you want to come join me, or do you want to do this committee? So I just think that'd be a great topic for the next agenda.
I think we've talked enough about training.
So we talked enough about training, government relations. I Well, I think this goes under police relations and government relations. I had a meeting with the chief, as I do every month, as it relates to some things that are going on with the CRB. And we talked about trying to have that large meeting once again, including, Sue Katzoff with them and trying to circle back around because they have not still responded to our findings letters. And we are way past due. They keep saying it's tied up in legal, and legal has some issue as it relates to explaining why the police do not agree with our findings, other than,
Maybe they should have said that when the legislation was passed originally, and they reviewed it a million times, but that's just my opinion.
so we're trying to circle back around for that large meeting. You haven't been on the board when that large meeting took place. Joey hasn't been on the board because
Right.
we've been trying for probably the last 3 years, since Chief Buckner left, in order to get this meeting back on, because again, it was our way of actually making the progress that we have
Yeah, we
made. And so it's supposed to be, revisited again. Jawad, the police accountability,
I don't. I never know
the
what
accountability
his job is.
officer, he was on the call, said he would circle back with them, but I've been reiterating the fact that we have not received any responses from the chief as it relates to our findings letter. So their answer was, maybe we can get this group back together. That group would consist of members from the council, a member from the council, usually Chol, the Public Safety Committee Chair, or whatever common councilor would like to attend that meeting. It would include Sue Katzoff from the Corporation Counsel's office. It would include a member from the mayor's office. It would include our attorney, Ryan, and we had several board members to attend in the past. And again, it was so that everybody could understand what's been happening between the two departments, what are some outstanding issues that we need to have a better meeting of the minds in order to take care of. The, concerns that we're having with getting officers to attend hearings. All types of stuff, the sharing of information. That's how we got kind of where we are today, even though we still have some work to do. But that was very helpful. So that's what we're looking to try to get back to. So as soon as I know something.
Did he happen to mention a police liaison committee meeting?
He did not, but I will circle back, as it really. It's not really, we never really gave it a title, per se, but, it's different than the police liaison committee meeting. It was just like a governmental, like government relations, kind of police.
Usually it was usually the members of the members of the council who were on the Public Safety Committee came. Usually Sharon came, the chair, the vice chair, and any board member that was able to go. Renat, the police chief, the training officer, a couple of deputy chiefs. It was a large meeting, but it was very productive, and it was almost every month that we met. So
It was very helpful. And
it
now we've
really
been
moved a
some
lot of
years.
things forward. But
Yeah.
police relation, the police liaison was scheduled for April, was canceled by the police department, and we've been trying to reschedule that, and that hasn't happened either. Government relations, like I said, we are meeting hopefully on Monday with Joel and Sharon to talk about Renet's evaluation, but also hopefully at that point I can talk a little bit more to Joel about scheduling more public safety committee meetings. Also, during COVID, we met monthly on Zoom, and then after everything opened up again, we didn't meet on Zoom or in person. So that was just Renat and Joel and I met just to say hi and what's going on. But that's all I'll say on that matter. Are there any community I'm
Can I
sorry.
just ask, are these quarterly reports that you're providing to us, are they drafts? Do we need to vote on them, or are they already on the website?
They should be, only the first quarter should be, and then the second quarter is considered to be a draft. I'll double check, but the second quarter shouldn't be on the website. But usually I send it to you guys, but if I don't hear anything back, then it gets published, but I know the first quarter is done. But the second quarter, I think I had to give to you guys. But I'll double check the website to see. If you look on the website, update on the website, I've been asking about a calendar to be placed on the website in order to show like on our CRB landing page, to show when our board meetings were and what we could utilize to put up our outreach event. So people could see, like in the month of April, the CRB would be here and there, and then in October, they'll be there. It finally got up there yesterday. And so it's up there because our meetings would be on the regular City of Syracuse page with upcoming meetings, but there was nothing if somebody clicked on the CRB page to see when our meetings was, other than like when other meetings and agendas, you could see it there. So I'd been working with them and it got up there. So the meetings from September through December, dates are all up there on the website. You can click and it says CRB meeting tonight, something of that nature.
Good.
But it's on our landing page for the City of Syracuse Citizens Review Board.
Are you physically mailing the second quarter report to the counselors? Since they seem to not,
Yeah.
they seem to need that or something.
Yeah, so once I've had an opportunity to just double check, give you guys a look-see, then it will be provided to them with a letter that says, attached is the Citizens Review Board second quarter report.
I asked that you put the hearings, obviously no identifying information, but like there's going to be a hearing from 3 to 5 or whatever on that calendar also?
No, I can't,
You can't? Why not?
because we are not typically providing hearing dates to the public. And if I put it on there, it will be available and then people will show up. It's not for the public. That's why you get calendar invites typically for hearings, or you get an email that reminds you that the hearing is coming, but no, I'm not going to put it on the Citizens Review Board website page.
Okay, I just know that it's been a question of whether we are doing hearings. So maybe you could put them on afterwards.
right.
Maybe you could put them on afterwards. Like if the hearing is May 8th, on May 9th, you put on the calendar that it happened on May 8th. So you can, so people can look back and go, oh, there was a hearing this day, but they're not seeing that it's upcoming.
Well, I'll tell you, the website stuff is not my forte. It's not my doing because I have other stuff to do, but I can put it in as a, you know what I mean, for the people who update it. Usually between Tia and the data analysis, they would be updating the website. I just kind of, you know what I mean, look at it when I need to look at it, but I can, talk about that. And that's usually when reminders and stuff were being sent by, you know what I mean, the legal secretary position. I mean, again, I've got tons of stuff that I really need to be getting done, that I have to assign other tasks to other people to complete. And so if you're not getting hearing reminder emails, let me know, you know what I mean, before time that you're not getting them, but
that I'm not getting it, if I'm not getting it. But, I mean, I have never gotten one for a hearing that actually occurred.
But that's what was,
I've gotten a bunch that got canceled later.
Yeah.
But I've never had a hearing.
So
calendar
typically
request
when
for
a hearing
that
was
occurred.
being scheduled, you should have gotten a calendar invite if you were chosen as the hearing panel. You would have gotten a calendar invite to be able to put it on your calendar. Now, the only person that I know that has issues with calendar invites is Lori. Past that point, I'm not aware if you are getting calendar invites and you have some sort of issue, but that is the way to keep it on track. If we had, you know what I mean, special meetings, or if we had things of that nature, police liaison committee meetings, that would be on there. A government relations meeting, you would get invited by email. That's the kind of stuff that's always typically happened or been.
I get invited, but I can't read it, so I don't know when it is or where it is or what it is. I just know I have an invite, and then I call Renette and say, I have an invite. I haven't figured out how that happens yet, but it's crazy. And you may also have an issue.
Well, I've gotten them for hearings that then have subsequent, and then I get a cancellation.
Gotcha.
So, but I've never gotten one for a hearing that I had in my calendar that I was scheduled for, that I actually went to and did.
Okay, well, we'll work on that. Okay, are there any community organizations who would like to be heard from? Good evening.
I'm Jacqueline Lasan, in addition to Southside Coalition that I coordinate. I'm also the voter outreach person for NAACP. And while I haven't sent an official email to Raynette, we are looking to collaborate with many organizations, this being one. CRB is more like something that needs to be more present in the community so people know what you're doing, so feel free to bring your pamphlets. But we are going to reach out for the voter activation part. As you know, there is an election coming in November, and it'll take all of us to cover the city of Syracuse. And so we're asking for all of us and not the 10 or 15 or 20 of us. So we do have various sororities and other groups that will be organizing with us on different things, phone banking, door knocking, different activities that we're going to be doing around the city. There'll be 3 political forums, debates that'll happen. Tabling, I'm not a fan of more than just getting out and interacting with people and having your voter registration clipboard. And so we're asking those things to happen because the numbers, yes, they'll go up. They definitely will tick up because it's the presidential election, but we also want them to tick up for everything else, all the down ballot, the Congress, the judges that are running, the Assembly and the Senate also. Everybody's protecting their seats and will be running. So that being said, when we send the invite out, we're asking that you join us because it'll give you guys a chance to shine. Be out there as well and shine, meaning that give your pamphlets out and all those other good things. And that part. The other part I wanted to make a comment on, and I know this is a board thing, I understand that. As a civilian now, I was with former law enforcement, as somebody who understands that this is in place so that when people have a complaint that they can come to you and hopefully expeditiously be able to have that complaint heard and move through the system. Knowing how Common Council, and we've sat in on that and advocated for this, for them not to kind of try to infiltrate as we thought they were doing. The table things is a little troubling in I'm not speaking for my organization, but for me, it's troubling to me because I remember sitting in Common Council on the 21st of August, August 22nd, 2021, $2 million just like that was passed through people that even if they didn't agree as far as this tree initiative, everybody got together and they voted on it because they understood that that money is going to maybe not be there or be accessible to them. I didn't agree with it. I thought that was trees when we have other things going on in this city. So to hear the smaller amount of money kind of being clutch and pearl moment is troubling. 2 million went through to trees that some of them are already dead. And so that's just something that I had on my heart that I wanted to just point out because these tabling things and then when Common Council meets and realizes that CRB has met but they're not ready for whatever that next meeting is with them, it's not a good look. You know, and we don't have a great relationship with Common Council, even our own organization. But for sure, you know, I would like to see things more moving through CRB because these are people's lives. And I being the person who made a complaint some time ago, back when Chief Buckner, and knowing that there was all of this slow process that was going on, you know, it's hard for me to push this and have people to come and sit in meetings and kind of hear those things that seem to be tabled when it's about their lives. So I appreciate. Hopefully that won't dissuade you from joining for the voting part because that's, you know, I'm also a citizen as well as a concerned person. Thank you.
If I could just add very quickly, we did table through the NAACP at the New York State Fair on August the 22nd. We were there from 8:30 to 5:30, and we passed out brochures and things of that nature. So that was the first time the CRB ever tabled at the fair. And so we look forward to continuing to do that. I don't know how many days we'll be, but we at least got one this year, and that was better than another day. So.
And your daughter, both, and anybody who listens, so thank you for
Any public comment?
Hi, I'm Barry Gawanter. Most of you know me. And first of all, I want to welcome new board members. Welcome aboard. I've been involved with the CRB from afar for a lot of years. I was one of the people that was on the Legislative Advisory Committee that rewrote the law in 2011, and I'm still paying attention. One thing, if you guys decide to form a legislative committee to recommend amendments to the council, I would urge you to draw on the expertise of people like myself and Alan Rosenthal and Nancy Keefe Rhodes that have been involved in forming the CRB legislation, rewriting the CRB legislation, and are really intimately knowledgeable about the legislation and the history. For instance, you brought up subpoena power here. It may interest some of the new people to have an idea about how we solve that problem in the rewrite in 2012. So that kind of expertise we can bring. Next thing is when you pass the board member expectations, when you update it, could you please make a copy available to the public, especially those of us that come? But I know that you post the procedures on the website. It'd be great if you posted the board member expectations, but if you don't, I'm going to ask for a copy once you've adopted the new one. Next, I'd love to know, and I know you don't have to respond directly to me, but how many grants the CRB has applied for in the past year? I hear that you paid to have access to a program to learn about grants that may be available, but besides the idea that you didn't get any, how many did you apply for?
It'll be in the proposal, and we'll talk about it coming up.
Okay, hopefully I'll be back for the next meeting. Next thing, I'm absolutely dismayed to hear that you're hiring again for the 2 positions. I was thrilled when the staff of the CRB was expanded to have a data analyst and an outreach person, and the job is too much for one person. Nobody can do this job alone. It's impossible. So I'm dismayed that you're hiring again, and I'd love to know why, although that would be a personnel matter. I do think when the position opens should be a matter of public information. So I don't see why there was a problem doing that. Next thing would be, I looked at the website today, and I'm thrilled that there's a calendar. Now, I went and looked at it, and I talked to Raynette about it, but when you look at the calendar, this is what you see. All it says is public, ... That is not a good way to have the public understand when your meetings are. When you look at the rest of the website, nowhere does it say meetings are held on the first Thursday of every month at 5:30. Just add that to the website. And you should also add it here so they have some idea of what public ... is. Okay?
Well, I was happy to get the public ...
I know.
first, so we got that.
I am
and now
thrilled.
the back end, they're going to they'll fix the rest of it. But when I saw the public ... I was excited that it said something.
Yeah, and I know you can go to the city's webpage, but you have to be in the know to do that. And maybe the fact that you don't have your meeting schedule clear on the website, maybe that's one reason why the public doesn't show up, because they don't know when you're here. There's lots of other reasons, but next thing is that I also looked on this, and the highlighting is mine, but I see that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people whose terms are ending on December 31st. That's a lot of people. You get yourself right back into quorum. And 3 of these people, designated by the teal, are people that have done 2 terms, and their terms can't be extended. And I'm concerned about that, and I hope that you're working on that now. And one of the things is that on this board, you have one officer. Lori has been handling that position and doing incredible service in that position. But you need to plan ahead as to who is going to take the chair when Lori rotates off. And if you're not prepared for that, you're setting yourself up for failure. So I urge you to push on these positions and also to put on your agenda discussing succession of chair. There's one other thing that I wanted to add. Oh, on the website, and I'll leave my copy with you so you can see what got represented. Once you rehire somebody, could you indicate on the website that there is more than one position? Right now, the website only says administrator. There's no evidence that the CRB has more than one person. And although city departments don't put all their staff on their website, you can say with the CRB that there's an outreach person. Let's say that I'm a community organization and I want the CRB to do a presentation. I shouldn't only have Raynette's name. I should have the name of the other person. Even if it's not the data analyst's name on the website, the fact that you have one is significant.
So we did do a like meet the team, but it was on our Facebook page and it had everybody's picture and what it was, but it never made it to the website. So thanks for pointing that out, Barry, because we did do a like Facebook and Instagram blast, but that was a while ago.
The last thing is that you have 3 open positions. One open position was authorized for a year and never filled. Board members, please push the city to fill these open positions, not just the investigator, but now that you've got the 2 open positions that you got open again, there may need to be a full court press on the city to actually have personnel act on them.
I think we're okay in that sense now because we actually have job descriptions from the county. It's been the county that's been our holdup. So like Renette said, the vacancies have been posted on Indeed. They have been posted internally on the city's transfer
If you have
whatever.
problems getting them filled, board members, lobby, but also tell us that care, and maybe we can help you lobby too.
And I will point out that while I've been getting, like, I have to interview all of the people who apply or ones that meet the qualifications, so I've been doing that for the last month, on top of trying to download 25 body-worn camera footages for one case. So again, we're talking about systems that are kind of in place. I've looped in Lori, looped in Hatisha to attend some of the interviews of potential private, full-time investigators, stuff like that. But again, it's all of this trying to get done. So thank you, Barry, for pointing out. It takes a lot to do this work. We need the positions refilled. And, we need everybody working together and understanding that we have to spend money that's allocated in order to get the work done. Because if not, then guess who it falls back on? Me to start doing community engagement, me to start writing their reports, along with trying to fill these positions. That's a lot.
Okay, I'll take a motion to go to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Second, briefly.
Thank you.
I can do a brief executive session.
All right, see you guys downstairs. I have a lot of paper.
But you don't have on the mask, so now you could have given
No, do we? You keep it.
Well, we have to make sure that we have a quorum, or else we can't vote on cases. We have to have a quorum in executive session too in order to vote on cases.
Folders.
So as long as we still have 6 board members, once people leave, but not, we can't vote on any cases.
Instructions to destroy the CRB.
Yeah,
Actually, I'll
if not, we can't vote on any cases.
when I'm not on board
You have to
anymore, I'll
have
shred
a,
everything.
you have to have a quorum in order to vote.
The cases should be fairly simple.
He's better than two.
Can't do two. A two-person meeting.
Yeah.